Welcome to Telling It Like It Is, NBA playoffs update. Got my man Magic here. The NBA thing this week, we talked about this a couple of podcasts, right? Which is why this is a great podcast because we make predictions and we get them right. We talked about how no sport is influenced by injuries as much as the NBA playoffs over the years, and here we are again. And then, of course, before we get to the games and the series himself, of course, LeBron James, because he's out of the playoffs, everything's all about him. He has to change his number, which nobody gives a crap about in the middle of the playoffs. But saying I told you so. Well, LeBron, NBA players, the NBA owners offered you a smaller season, but you guys wanted the money, so you went for the 72 game season. You wanted the later start, which made it more compact, and here you are. So don't act like a victim in all this, which is, of course, LeBron has to always do. You wanted a 72 game season, so you get more pay. Well, and here we are. And also, some of the guys who are hurt, Kyrie Irving, for example, didn't even play last year in the bubble, so it has nothing to do with it. What equally has as much to do with it is people playing maybe 2/3 of a season or 75% of a season or 55% of a season, and then playing most games when you watch every night, no defense. All of a sudden, the NBA playoffs come around, you going harder, your body's not ready for that either. So there's just as much of that in there of not going hard. By today's standards, I guess they think it's going hard. Then there is playing saying that the season was too packed in and that people are getting hurt. There's probably some truth to both. So let's not sit here and blame it on that situation only when the fact of the matter is most of these games turn out to be 3-on-1 3-point shooting contests. And then the playoffs come. We got people playing harder, play a little more intense, bodies banging. Guy's going to get hurt. It's not the same level of intensity. Can't fake intensity. And so watching these games, again, it's very sad because now we're not going to get to see, the best teams necessarily play. And that's a big problem. So now we also get a COVID problem here with Chris Paul, unfortunately. So here's a guy who's going to get a chance to be in the conference finals, and who knows what's going to happen here. And a lot of people brought up the fact that why did he get COVID suspended when some other players like LeBron James did not. So that's a big issue coming up as well. But the All NBA teams, can you explain to me how you could play 3/4 of a season and make All NBA over guys like Jason Tatum, okay, Booker, whose team had the second best record in the NBA, and guys like I said, Tatum and Booker. All right, there's no way that a guy who plays 54 games in a 72 game season should be All NBA over those guys, especially when the numbers are just as good, if not better. Especially Jason Tatum's numbers: 7 rebounds, 4.5 assists, 26 points a game. How's Jason Tatum not in there? Okay, so I don't understand it. And Booker, I mean, forget it. I mean, just amazing season for him as well. His team gets a second seed. Having winning teams used to matter, but I guess it doesn't. The other thing is, so again, I hate to keep bringing up Mr. James, but he played 45 games this year. How's the All NBA? You cannot play 45 out of 72 games and be All NBA. I'm sorry. It just doesn't work. It's not even 3/4 of the season. Okay, we're talking about almost 60% of the season, and you're All NBA? No, absolutely not. So again, we got some guys who are being left off the NBA list, and I wonder. It always seems like there's an agenda with these All NBA teams. I mean, I don't know how a guy like Jason Tatum's not on there. It's just ridiculous. And I'm not a Celtic fan, but 26 points a game, like I said, 7 rebounds, 4.5 assists. You got to be on there. Unless you're going to tell me winning's not important. Well, then if winning's not important, then Booker needs to be. If winning's important, then Booker needs to be on there. If winning's not important, fine, then Jason Tatum can be on there. But you can't have it both ways. So Booker and Tatum both definitely got hosed in this All NBA situation here. So I don't know, but again, it always seems like an agenda. Getting to the Western Conference playoffs, I have to do. This has just been some bad coaching. As a basketball coach myself, it's just amazing how you can watch Kevin Durant get 49 that night and not get the ball out of his hands. To me, that's just incredible. But what's more incredible is you have 25 guys on a staff, and no one can figure out that James Harden is playing on one leg. Now, James Harden on his best, healthiest day is a horrendous defender, and we don't go at him. Okay, we don't go at him all night. We don't attack him. We don't make him play defense, and we don't get the ball out of Kevin Durant's hands. So that's that. I can't believe the Bucks lost Game 5, especially when you're winning the game. Game should be over. Then we get to the Sixers, who this series could have been over in 5 games. they'll have guys with 20 points at the half who they don't run a play for the whole second half of the game. We've seen this before with Doc. I know Doc is, one with the team that had 3 Hall of Famers and maybe a 4th Hall of Famer on it, and Perk. So Doc gets credit for that. But at the same time, I'm sorry, that's a bad job. I mean, you got to post up Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons is still a very useful player. Have him attack the rack. I mean, Tobias doesn't get enough touches. I mean, it's unbelievable. George Hill doesn't play enough. So last night, the kid bailed him out a little bit. So that's nice to see the kid off the bench from Kentucky do a great job and bail him out. I'm rooting for the Sixers. I want the Sixers to win. So I'm hoping that they can find a way to hold off Atlanta. But Atlanta's fearless. So that's the thing about a really young team. I don't even know if they understand how important the games are. So they're just kind of fearless. So that's gonna be fun. But tonight we get Nets Bucks. Hopefully both benches are awake tonight. I think it was. I have to tell you, I love James Harden's effort to play in Game 5 with on one leg. That's not easy. Hamstring's a tough situation, but he can get him into an offense. I think that makes Durant's job a lot easier. And I think Steve Nash could have played and helped him get into an offense. All you need to do is get someone to deliver Durant the ball where he wants it. You're not going to stop him on the pull up. You got to get the ball at his hands. There's just no way. You cannot let Kevin Durant just single-handedly just take you apart. Got to get the ball out of his hands. Back in the West, I don't know how the Jazz lose. You lose to a team without Paul George in 2 games. And last night, I mean, goodness gracious, you're blowing a huge lead. I mean, I think it was 25-26 at one point, even more than that. And you blow that game. And, I know you let man go off and all that other stuff, but geez, I mean, can you buckle up, play some defense? And I see a lot of people giving Rudy Gobert trouble, but remember, the Clippers don't play a center that much during the game. And if you're starting a guy who's 6'9" like Morris, that's a tough cover for Gobert. So let's not sit here and try to criticize Rudy Gobert about defensive player of the year. He's not covering another center. They're playing centerless basketball for most of the time until Zubats comes out there. So just to, the Jazz with that number 1 seed, you show what that was worth. Just usually, and that's why this is a weird time in basketball history, because with the game being so reliant on threes and not playing a lot of defense a lot of times, I think the seeds are less important than ever. I mean, how many times you see 1 seeds just gagging it up in the old days? You just don't. You didn't see a lot of it. You saw some of it. You saw Seattle lose to Denver and things of that nature. The Heat lost to the Knicks in that half season series, but you don't see this that often. But here we are in a league where it's a lot about the 3. It's a make or miss league, which it's been, but now it's even more that way with the 3s. And again, the Suns are going to get a pass. I mean, they're going to wind up playing the Clippers with no stud. I mean, Paul George is still a great player, but you have no Leonard. I mean, this is going to be tough. And Reggie Jackson is a streaky player. Obviously, Nunn is a good player. Morris is a good player, but I tell you, this is going to be an interesting series. I mean, the Suns going to get home court, and Chris Paul is not going to have to cover another guard unless he doesn't get to play the first couple of games. I mean, I'm sure they'll work it out. The NBA doesn't want this to happen. You could feel that NBA loves Chris Paul agenda. NBA postseasons many times have an agenda. It's usually, LeBron. But this year it's, we love Chris Paul. He's top point guard of all time. You see some of these websites where people are calling him a top point guard of all time. I mean, he's definitely not in the top 4 or 5, but we got people who, again, don't know much about basketball or don't know anything older than 10, 15 years old. But, talking about top point guards of all time, you have people telling me he's the best point guard of all time. Not better than Magic, not better than Oscar, not better than Jerry. I don't think he's better than Isaiah Thomas either. I want to see him do what Isaiah did in Game 6 versus the Lakers in '88, or against the Knicks in '84 in Game 5, right at Joe Louis Arena. And I don't like Isaiah, but Isaiah was a great ball player. Whether you like him or not, got a new puppy over here. She's over here in the background. She's in the office on the teething ring here. But the NBA playoffs, I mean, Phoenix could get a free pass here, but I'm rooting for the Clippers against them, even though I really like Booker a lot. In the East, this is going to be fascinating. I'm still rooting for the Sixers. It's going to be tough. Danny Green does give a lot of good things to that team. I think the kid, Milton's done some good things off the bench. Thibault's done some good things off the bench. I mean, they've done some good jobs. And, of course, the Kentucky stud last night saves them. So that's good. Maybe we can, get some energy out of these guys and get some minutes. I'd like to see, George Hill get a couple of minutes. I'd like to see a little more offense and a couple more shot attempts to some other guys. We know we can get Embiid, isolated anytime, but we got to get some easy baskets for Ben. We got to continue to encourage Ben to push it in transition. hey, and if they want to start fouling you, you're going to foul guys out. And we could do that too. I thought that the Atlanta Hawks last night made a little bit of a mistake not going to that hack and Shaq phrase. I love the Shaq man. With about 6 or 7 minutes left, I was texting with a couple of people, and I was like, I think they're going to go to the hack and Shack at this moment, but they didn't. I was surprised by that because it's like an 8, 9 point game. I figured they'd start going to that. But Philly did stare elimination right in the eye last night, and they survived. A couple of big buckets. Embiid had a couple of big buckets, and he's playing hurt too. So I really respect him. I know he gets a bad rap because he's a goofy dude, but you got to give him a lot of credit. I mean, when you play hurt, you're okay in my book. I mean, you play hurt, I got to give you the best I got. All right. So this is going to be interesting stuff tonight. This Bucks Net series, I think Harden is starting to look better. I mean, the other night he looked decent at some moments. I don't see how it's going to be too easy to beat James Harden and especially Kevin Durant tonight at home. I think the fans are going to be geeked up in Brooklyn. Brooklyn's a great little sports city, and those fans are going to be very boisterous, and it's going to be great. As far as tomorrow, the Sixers and the Hawks, geez, this is also a tough game to call. Really looking forward to it. I'm rooting for the Sixers, even though I respect the Hawks. I mean, Trae Young's got he's got the guts of a cat burglar. I got to give Trae a ton of credit. He's going to be a pain in the ass for a long time for the Eastern Conference, and they got some tough kids. And Capella's had his moments. He's had some bad moments, had some good moments. Collins is very tough, and of course they got Herter, all right, and you got some great shooters. It's just been great. I was just really disappointed by the Jazz effort last night. So we'll keep you up to date on this postseason. And again, let's try to get some all NBA teams that people actually read the numbers, not have guys who play 45 games out of 72 make all NBA. Sorry, you didn't. There's no way a person who plays 45 games should make all NBA. There's no way a person who plays 54 games and has the same numbers as the person who plays 72 games should make it. And, actually Tatum had better numbers. All right. So again, we got guys on that list. Not a big fan of that. And let's be realistic here. A lot of these guys have been hurt, didn't even play in the bubble last year. So these injuries have something to do with the quick turnaround, but you did want to take more money and have more games. I would rather have seen them play a 60-game season, but you can't have it both ways. And then, of course, we have guys who during the season miss so many games. You can't just come back, and Shaq and Barkley made note of this. You can't just come back and all of a sudden think it's going to play hard and turn on the switch and not pick up injuries. And by the way, Charles Barkley leaving in 2 years on TNT. It's the best part of the NBA right now is the show with Shaq, Kenny, and Charles. After the games, I look so much forward to that. I don't know how we're going to replace Charles. It's his right to retire, I guess, at 60, but I'm going to miss Charles. I mean, I love those three guys. I like Shaq and Chuck the most, but it's a good combination. Kenny plays the calmer of the three, and Ernie's awesome. It's just such a great show. It's an amazing show. So it's one of my favorite shows I've ever seen on TV. It's up there with Seinfeld. So it's just a shame that Chuck is going to leave, and I'm really going to miss it. But we'll be back. So we got Game 7 tonight. We got Game 7 tomorrow, and we got the Western Conference playoffs. Finals should be starting soon, and the Eastern Conference finals should be starting sometimes during the week too. And I'm looking forward to that. And we'll talk to you next time on Telling It Like It Is, which is where we always tell it like it is.